There are some new TSA carry-on rules for 2025 that you need to be aware of, but there's also a bunch of new travel rules for 2025 going viral on YouTube that are completely false. Today I'll expose some of the BS rules that you might be misinformed about, as well as share which rules are actually new or changing. The first is the claim that there's going to be a new standardized carry-on luggage size across all airlines, and that you're probably gonna have to go out and buy a new bag because the new limits are smaller than what current bags are.
Travelers, brace yourselves. Your favorite carry-on bag could be banned from most airlines today.
This seems to be just a bunch of bad journalism and unfact information getting spread around the internet. One viral video made by AI, which you should never trust, by the way, even claimed that they measured all of the top carry-on bags and 60% of them didn't fit within the new standardized limits, which don't even exist. And even if they did exist, how do they determine which carry-on bags were the most popular and how many bags did they actually measure? This stuff is all just made up. To see that this new carry-on rule is actually false, you can simply just click to a few different airline websites and instantly see that all the sizes are different. Now, there are reports that perhaps someday airlines are interested in maybe making things more standardized, but there are no reliable sources online saying that this new size is coming anytime soon, let alone in 2025. So no, you don't need to worry, and you definitely don't need to go out and buy a new bag. You can't believe everything you see on YouTube, and if you want travel tips that you can trust backed by reliable sources, make sure to subscribe and like this video. All that said, it is true that airlines continue to raise carry-on and checked bag prices, remove free carry-ons from basic fares, and seem to be cracking down on the weight limits for the carry-ons. This has spurred on a new trend called naked flying, where travelers are saving hundreds of dollars on carry-on luggage fees, basically by just traveling with the clothes on their back and a small personal item bag, which is included in their ticket. And if you don't think you can fit all your stuff into one of those small personal item bags, another trick that's getting popular is pocket packing using something like a Scotty vest, which is the sponsor of today's video. Scotty vest jackets have up to 42 hidden pockets where you can essentially pack an entire bag's worth of clothes and travel gear on the inside. I know this because I actually did it to avoid carry-on fees on my last flight, which you can watch in this video. With ridiculously small weight limits and more expensive luggage fees, this pocket packing hack is going to be a hit in 2025. Airlines love finding ways to squeeze extra money out of you, but unless they change their policies to not allow anyone to have anything in their pockets when they're traveling, which would be insane, then this travel hack is going to work for years to come and could save you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars in luggage fees. For a 20% discount on Scotty Vest gear, use the link in the description, send a message to their customer service, and ask them for the Project Untethered discount code. Next are the supposed changes to the 311 liquids rule, which limits the amount of liquids you can have in your carry-on to 3.4 ounce containers, packed into one quart-sized bag and one bag per person. There actually are some changes to this rule, but they're kind of the opposite of what some of these viral videos are saying. There's information floating around that this 311 liquids rule is disappearing in 2025 because of these new CT scanners that they're installing in different airports around the world. But in reality, some airports in Europe that already have these machines installed actually tested out removing the 311 rule last year, and it failed, and they had to reinstate the 311 rule. Apparently, these fancy new machines weren't as effective as possible at flagging people, and they ended up flagging too many people and slowing the security lines way down. It appears as though airports across the US and Europe continue installing these new CT scanner machines, so the goal is to eventually get rid of the rule, but don't count on it happening across all airports in 2025. To be safe and avoid delays in TSA and security lines, just continue following the rule for now. That said, there is a real change to the TSA liquid rules, albeit a small one. During the past few years, TSA was making an exception for bigger hand sanitizer bottles up to 12 ounces, but now it's back to the normal rule, the 3.4 ounces for hand sanitizers. By the way, if you want more of the latest travel tips you can trust that I don't share anywhere else, you can join my free weekly email newsletter using the link in the description. Next up is the supposed new crackdown on electronics.
The rules for electronics are changing dramatically, and this is something every traveler needs to understand. Those new super capacity power banks you love, many are now banned from carry-ons.
You may have heard that now in 2025, you have to be extra careful with what power banks you're allowed to bring in your carry-on and what laptops and batteries and other things that you can bring because of these new limits and rules. The new rule is that you can't carry power banks or batteries that are 100 watt hours or above. 100 watt hours equals about 27,000 milliamp hours, which is the rating you might see on your power bank, and this has been the limit for years. This is a pretty giant power bank, by the way, and so I really can't see why you would want to carry anything bigger than this unless you're going off the grid camping for a week or something. You also may have heard that now you're only allowed to have 15 personal electronic devices in your carry-on. Which, first of all, it'd be pretty insane if you have more than 15 devices in your carry-on, because I'm a digital nomad YouTuber and I don't even have nearly that much. Second, according to the International Air Transport Association, this is actually true. You can only have 15, but it's by no means a new rule in 2015. I found documentation for it that goes back to 2019. Other videos try to scare you, making it sound like starting in 2015, you need to start keeping track of all the sizes of the batteries in your different devices. But again, nothing has actually changed. If you're just carrying normal stuff like a laptop or whatever, you're not gonna be over the limits unless you have some sort of supercomputer or something. For reference, a maxed out $4,000 16-inch MacBook Pro only has a 99.6 watt-hour battery, which is still below the limits. So unless you're traveling with some really weird stuff, there's really no reason to get all stressed looking at all your different battery sizes and all your electronics. You also may have heard the brand new rule that smart luggage now needs to have removable batteries, otherwise they won't be let on board. But again, this isn't a new thing for 2025. This was a new thing like 7 years ago. So essentially there's a ton of content on the internet right now using old, unverified, or just plain untrue information saying that there are new rules for 2025 just to scare people and make them worried and to get clicks. So nowadays, more than ever, you really need to be careful with who you're watching and what you're trusting. Speaking of scaring people, the TSA are masters at making us feel like criminals when we're not. But it turns out the TSA isn't all it's cracked up to be, and they even have some secrets of their own, which I reveal in this video. Watch it next because this stuff is actually really important to know when you fly. Alright guys, like, subscribe, do the things, love you, bye bye.